Hi, Dan.
Hi, Nick. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. You?
I'm great, thanks. To be honest, I'm pretty excited as we're launching our Patreon over the next week.
Yes, what an absolute treat to start 2023 with. I'll tell you what, though, before we start, I'm parched. Do you have any drinks?
I don't. But our listeners could treat us to a dandelion and burdock every month to keep us hydrated for the podcast.
Sounds good, but what would they get out of it?
Well, for just £3 a month, they could get a full video episode with behind-the-scenes preamble and post-show chat every week. And let me tell you, that's usually a real treat.
That sounds like a real treat. That sounds awesome. I'm well up for that, but I don't need to because I'm involved. I don't need to pay.
No, but they'd get that a day earlier than everybody else with release on a Tuesday.
Surely, in that case, they'd also get the podcast version a day earlier as well.
Absolutely.
I'm concerned now we've become sellouts and decide to have adverts featured on the podcast. People will come for us with pitchforks.
Well, in this tier, they'd get the episode ad-free.
Excellent. Surely they can't get anything else in this tier.
Not really. Only an extra wrap-up podcast at the end of each season where we watch interviews and performances from the era we've discussed, and one watch-along episode a month where we'll watch and discuss a classic gig, film, or anything Arctic Monkeys related.
What, like Glasgow 2013, Live at the Apollo, Scummy Man, or Submarine?
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many more. But I'm not done yet. We'll also be putting out special birthday party episodes on each band member and associated band members' birthdays. And do you know what's good about that?
What's good about that?
Alex's is the 6th of January.
Amazing. Sounds like that'd be a great date to launch the Patreon then, with an Alex Turner birthday party episode ready and waiting for our patrons.
As always, Nick, you read my mind.
It's an amazing tier. And again, you get all that for just £3 a month.
Yep.
I don't see what else the next tier could possibly offer on top of that.
Well, if you're now well hydrated and you fancy grabbing a pint with me, our listeners can treat us to one in our local, the Cornerstone.
I'll be there in 10 minutes.
For just £5 a month, our listeners can access our Cornerstone tier and get all the great features already referenced on the previous tier. Plus, and I'm excited about this,
I'm on tenterhooks here. Or rusty hooks, as it were.
Nice. Well, our Cornerstone patrons will also get a monthly Last Shadow Puppets podcast where we'll do a deep dive into a track from the beginning of the catalogue all the way to the end.
Amazing. B-sides and all?
B-sides and all.
Wow, that's just outstanding. So all the previous features and the Shadow Puppets pod. Incredible.
Well, also, each subscriber gets to pick any song from any band or artist that doesn't feature an Arctic Monkeys member in the act or production, and we'll put the songs into a prize draw once a month. So, for example, you might pick Thank You Next by Ariana Grande. The winning subscriber will get a podcast in our format on that song. They'll stay in the prize draw until they win, and will refresh annually.
This all sounds amazing. Well, apart from the Ariana Grande bit, but yeah, that's a me issue. So, we're launching on Alex's birthday?
Yes, on the 6th of January, come to our Linktree or socials to access Patreon, where you can choose your tier of choice. Once you've signed up, you'll immediately start seeing the benefits with the Alex Turner birthday party episode.
This is all very exciting.
Isn't it just?
Well, we hope you're all as excited as we are and can help support us throughout 2023 and beyond. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We're Arctic Monkeys. This is Don't Believe the Hype.
That rock and roll, eh? Ladies! That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
Cheers, dude.
That man just yawned. We're going to call it,
Don't Believe the Hype.
Hello and welcome to Don't Believe the Hype, the podcast aiming to pull back the curtain and reveal the stories behind some of the anthems of a generation. Yes, every week we take a look back at a track from the band's back catalogue. Who's we, I hear you ask? It's me, Nick Lee, joined as ever by the man who occupies the show like toothache. It's Dan Holt. You're right, Dan.
Yep, I am very well, thank you. Was that a lyric?
Yeah.
Is it an early alarm?
I think.
No.
It's
not been.
It's
I've been called worse
rather than an alarm. That is,
okay. Okay, sorry, I don't know the rules yet.
I was very mean to the co-host of my football podcast last night as well. So there must be something in the water this week. I think.
There must be.
I don't mind. Podcaster this week.
I can take it. So I'm gonna make you laugh throughout the evening and turn it back around so that I'm not like too fake. I'm like brushed teeth.
The complete opposite.
Brushed teeth, yeah. I don't know. Healthy teeth.
I'll take that bit out because that was mental. Don't forget you can go in the episode description and find all our links, including our TikTok, which I will put in after this for people who are TikToking the way through life. And everything that's there. And you can also email arcticmonkeyspodcast@gmail.com, as people will be getting to our correspondence special soon. So get those emails in.
We will.
Come one, come all.
Say soon, probably about 5 or 6 weeks still, but it's relatively soon, isn't it? So get your correspondence in now.
It's soon in the grand scheme of things, isn't it? Yeah.
Because once it's past that date when we record that, your email will be dead to us. So
we'll delete all the folders and everything.
We're not going to save it for next season because that's a different era and we'll have moved on, baby. We'll be in the different times. So
we'll be pogoing our way around to do me a favor, won't we? Oh, it's going to be a great time. Oh my word. So forget about doing me a favor. Forget about Favorite Worst Nightmare. What are we chatting about tonight?
We're doing Riot Van, and I have to say I'm very excited about this. I've got a lot to say. I only wasn't that excited about it before, but from listening to it this week, just got really geared up for this one. Wait, that sounds like I've done a load of drugs and I'm excited for it. I've not. It might seem that way. I'm not. But I am really.
Some funny cigarettes.
Oh, already. Is that a lyric? Oh, in a feature still.
Yeah.
It's a demo lyric.
Feature.
Yeah. These rules, Nick Hazy.
And it's a lyric for the song we're going to be talking about as well. So you're not going to get me on that.
Should see the 50-page rulebook he made me sign before we started this. But I did actually just want to say, I hope that all of our South American friends that were at a gig that looked quite dangerous this week are all okay. We're all okay because we're Arctic Monkeys, and now that's out of the way.
Some hairy gigs, but that was horrible. That was it's not my thing now.
And now that's out of the way, I'm going to tell you off for misbehaving and ruining Arctic Monkeys night. It was quite. I've never seen. The only time I've ever seen that is I saw Rage Against the Machine at Leeds Festival, and it got so intense they had to stop. And there was a couple of lads that we'd made friends with that we didn't really know from Liverpool. And halfway through one of the songs, they pushed the lad to the floor and started kicking him in. And I was like, this is a bit rich for me, and left. But I thought we were just mosh pitting. Now you're just beating someone on the floor. That actually makes me sound bad that I didn't step in and help, doesn't it? But
you just read
from looking at me, you people have never seen me like in person, but I would have got battered. I would have been no help by trying to peacefully break up a fight.
It really sounds like they were raging against the machine, them guys. Whoa,
they were.
Anti-capitalist propaganda and a good beating. What are they, that guy?
Yeah, that is their mantra. Imagine an organization like the BBC thinking that they could get them on live and ask them not to swear in the song, and they would follow that. Imagine them thinking that.
Called Rage Against the Machine.
A band that are all about not doing what the man tells them to do, and literally one of the biggest man institutions in the UK tells them not to swear during a live broadcast. How could they have not seen what came? Bizarre, bizarre. It was good. It was Christmas number one, though.
It was, but as part of Simon Cowell's record company, so he was happy either way.
We spoke a lot.
Homosexual.
Ask Louis Theroux. See Louis Theroux documentary for further context. I would, I was just thinking. It just made me think of. We've told a few stories from our clubbing days, and recently because of this album, I remember Rage Against the Machine were always one in the night, weren't it? Around midnight or something at 1, and that would come on in the bar. That. Ding, doing the.
It's one of those rare songs that you can kind of go off. It gets to a point where you get a bit bored, so you go off and get a drink, and then you get to come back for like a great ending. Similar to Blue Monday.
No.
But when Blue Monday comes on, you can go off to the bar and have a drink, go out for a cig, and it's still going on.
Well, that's not very eventful, it's about 20 minutes long, but the nights, But no, because I found that song was the one where, we said last week about backing up to a girl and you might touch her, because everyone's jumping around so much. There's an odd chance that if you jump strong enough, you'll just land in front of a girl. And if she's desperate enough,
she'll go,
that was my game.
Is that desperate bastard I ordered?
Exactly. And so while you're at the bar halfway through the song, I'm just jumping around trying to land in front of various women in the hospital until one of them works. It's just a numbers game for me. Just a numbers game.
A lot is being explained. A lot is being said. Back to the track then.
Back to the track. Because this isn't one about nightclub. Yeah, this isn't about a nightclub. Yeah. We're stripping
it's the
back.
aftermath, and I think we should have a copyright-friendly listen to it.
Have you been drinking, son? You don't look old enough to me. I'm sorry, officer, is there a certain age you're supposed to be? 'Cause nobody told me. And up rolls the riot van, and these lads just wind the coppers up. They ask why they don't catch proper.
So that clip was taken from the album version because there are no live versions available of that song. I even went back to the Astoria gig and there's not one on there.
Yeah, I have to say, because there did used to be one in Australia, but when I looked, it were all mobile phone ones again, which I'm surprised even exists from back then. But it would have very poor mobile phones.
They're not very good mobile phones.
No. But I mean, our usual scam of how to evade the algorithm police will hopefully uphold this track.
30 seconds, and we're reviewing it, so I think we're good.
But if you just heard nothing, then it didn't work.
Basically, nothing, then go flip over, listen to the song, and then come back. That's fair enough, isn't it?
No, we'd probably just edit in the demo because the demo's all right, isn't it? Because the demo's not owned by anyone, as we found out in Beneath the Boardwalk. So we'll just have to do that as Plan B. We'll remember him. Awful.
Which we might do. We might be doing as a little treat later on. That's exciting.
Well, maybe if the listeners are good.
Should we head over to the feature that's got a name that I trip over every week? So I just won't say the name of the feature.
Well, Alex says it. Alex says it. You don't need to.
I mean, we're way too argue.
Riot Van is the 7th track on the album, coming in at a brief 2 minutes and 14 seconds with 60.6 million streams on Spotify, putting it somewhere in between what you would call the bigger tracks on this album and the lesser streamed ones. The song is 104 beats per minute, but according to tunebat.com, still manages to have a danceability score of 59, but just 26 this week for the happiness score. Like last week, this song is in the key of A major.
Wrong key, though.
Other key tracks in A major are Eurovision Enemas ABBA with Dancing Queen, 80s film anthem Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds, and the Americans' answer to Status Quo, REO Speedwagon with I Can't Fight This Feeling Anymore, or as it will always be heard now thanks to John Lewis's Christmas advertisement and Bastille, I just can't fight this feeling anymore. And I just can't fight the feeling to rip off my own ears with a pair of pliers and use them to make the fairy wings for the top of my Christmas tree. Thanks, Bastille, and Merry fucking Christmas. We do have a mysterious new entry into our infamous, thanks to us, recording team, Andreas Bear, who was involved in the technical side of the recording. Andreas was also involved in 2 Cribs songs, Mirror Kisses and It Happened So Fast. Do you recall, Nick, in an earlier episode, we saw a general credit for James Ford on this album, but we weren't quite sure what capacity he was involved in, and I wasn't even sure that was accurate, to be honest. But he did play the electric piano and organ on Riot Van. So he's been there the whole way through, more or less. That's nice to know, isn't it?
Well, that's good.
Never knew that, yeah. The song has been played a mere 45 times live, initially on November 3rd, 2005 at Beats 106 Radio Studios, Glasgow, Scotland, and lastly on August 24th, 2006 at the Forum, London, England. So it's not been pulled out for a very, very long time. It is time for a bonus round.
That sound means it's the end of the round. Time for the bonus question.
So, could you hazard a guess, Nick, at the next least played album track? So Riot Van was played live 45 times, and the next least played is 44 times. That's off all albums, not this album. So the Riot Van was played 45 times live ever, and the next least played album track is played 44 times. Can you name that? We can narrow it down a bit for you if you want.
I think it might. It might. Well, obviously, there's some that he's played like 0 times, obviously, but
Yeah. So this is it's not that low down, but yeah.
Red light indicates doors are secured. I'm going the next track.
No, it's not on this album.
Oh no, that's grim. That no, I haven't got a clue. What album are we talking?
Suck it and see.
Just going. Is it All My Own Stunts? No, because they did a full tour of that. I don't know. Killed me again.
That's where you're wrong. Has only been played 44 times.
And now it's back.
Now it's back, so that's going to go up. Yeah, 44 times. I was surprised by that because I don't really remember the exact set list for when I saw the 2 times I saw the Suck It and See tour, but I think it were in there. I think so. But yeah. Paul, that's where you're wrong. Yeah. But to continue, the song was sampled on Boys in Blue by Manchester-based lyricist producer Skittles from his EP Poor with £100 Trainers from 2012. According to his website, his hard-hitting, razor-sharp delivery makes it impossible for you not to relate as he explains some unheard views of the world over a wide range of sounds that, unfortunately, due to him not really singing, will be referred to as hip-hop. Imagine a piece of classical music, put it in a blender, and add some reggae/ska to it. Throw a load of broken instruments in the mix and a few proper cold rappers, sprinkle in some grime and a vinyl, add a bit of pop, and pulse until smooth, and you will have nothing like what this album is. If there's nothing for you on this album, you're a dick. Remember, folks, that's from his own website. We'll let you be the judge.
Johnny died a single stab to the abdomen. Chris knew where he kept his bag, so he grabbed for them, just thinking he didn't want his mum or the police to have them. But when he goes back, there's a strap with him. He couldn't believe Johnny was that hidden, but now he's got a beef with the little brother of the guy with the knife. Maybe he should pack with him. So he left that day 10 bags with him. Came back in all fresh clothes and a bag full of fat rhythm. Didn't know cash was that given. 2 years later, stacks risen. I mean, Johnny died, so nothing will put him off shotting if that didn't. You can't compare that to prison. It's your worst nightmare, but for Chris, just think it isn't.
Thoughts, Nick? Thoughts, Nick?
Thug life.
I like the music and the backing vocals.
Yeah. More of that, please.
Well, production duties are taken care of by Skittles himself, along with few collaborations with the likes of Dub Physics, DRS, and Chimpo. Features come from Man Like Mr. Fox, fresh from his cameo in the Z Bias and Omar Damage a Dance, and Fallacy, Black Market Boy, Groundbreaker, Big and Bashy. And if anybody could translate whatever the fuck any of that was, please head to our socials now.
I can translate a little bit of that because I used to live next to Chimpo.
Really? This is even none of this isn't planned or anything.
Honestly, I just heard that name, and then I was like, that's the guy. Where? That's how I used to WhatsApp in Fallowfield in Moss Side. Chimpo,
you lived in Moss Side for a bit, did you?
Door.
Oh, really?
That's where I've just moved from. Yeah.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought you lived.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. So it's the other side of Fallowfield, like no, that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into that now. But
thanks for bringing that back. Cheers. No. Chimpo was next door.
I had no idea.
I remember during the the lockdown when everyone was going out clapping for nurses instead of giving them pay rises.
Yes, except me.
We'd have like the neighbourhood WhatsApp, and they'd all be texting in there. And everyone would be texting like, "Oh, don't forget to put your rainbows in your window." And he'd just be like, "Yeah, D&B night, remote rave at my house. Yeah, you can stream it at this link, £5 a ticket." I was like, "Oh, read the room, Chimpo." No, I didn't. I didn't go out clapping. I didn't go out clapping. Me.
To be honest,
I deliberately made sure.
Neither did I. Oh no, neither did we. Purposefully, because I knew what would happen eventually, and we were right. But yeah, I think I was during the lockdown. I was drinking that much that I probably would have paid and streamed his live show just for something to do while I was drunk. But
I didn't need to because it was being done from the house next door. Social distance.
You could hear it straight through there.
So I was just sat there minding my own business and
glass through the wall.
Chimpo at it.
Well, best be careful what I say about them because they are quite local. Then moving swiftly on. Well, that is a bizarre coincidence. But I mean, it's not going to the from Manchester, but it's still quite a bizarre coincidence because there is quite a high population here. But yeah, no, this takes me now to the review section of the show. Not really any reviews again, but in its review of the debut, Pitchfork said, "Almost everything that's appealing about Arctic Monkeys is down to singer Alex Turner. Disagree with that. Who possesses a gritty voice that gets increasingly appealing the more he allows it to stretch and wander. Agree with that. On sharp, observational, and detail-heavy Saturday night and Sunday morning tracks like Red Light Indicates Doors Are Secure, Mardy Bum, and Riot Van, the band justifies taking their album name from a kitchen sink drama. They then go on to say that although the album name is still terrible, alas, Don't Let the Bestest Get You Down was already taken. I disagree with that strongly. I think it's a great album name and was a great mantra for the band, although through as we've addressed previously. Odd statement. It's a great album title. very
it's not the weirdest review you've had to go through this series, though. So
no,
it's not annoyed you that much compared to that.
What, compared to fucking Neil?
Neil the snail.
Fucking snail. A website called Recordingology made a production note, which was the vocal is sonically defiant in support of the lyrics, yet remains intimate and confidential, with the sort of distortion that comes from running the vocal through a guitar amp and or a rather abused old dynamic microphone. So yeah, that's all my reviews. We move, as we always do, into the music discussion of this track, and I'm just going to say right off the bat that you're going to hear me use the word romantic a lot tonight. Like a lot. yeah so any thoughts on the music, Joe? Nick, I'll let you go first.
It feels so warm.
You slagged me off at the start.
I'll do it to everyone this week. Getting it out of my system. I'll be nice as pie again next week. People always say that to me, when the people who know me from like my football podcast, they'll say, "Oh, you're a lot nicer in person." And I was like, I didn't know I was doing a thing.
I mean, I thought so. I didn't notice until tonight. But if you think, I'm not the type of person to sit on it and fester on it and then come back full vengeance against you at some point in the future, maybe 5 years down the line. Continue.
Yeah, unlike the conversation here, I think the musically it's very warm.
No, we're very warm. I actually didn't realize it was an insult, the toothache thing at first. I just thought you were commenting on a lyric. I got excited about the lyric before I realized it was a slight insult.
Well, that's good to know. That's music to my ears. I can get away with a lot now.
Yeah, if you throw an Alex line in there, then I won't even notice that you're insulting me most of the time. But yeah, sorry, go on. This is a very beautiful track, isn't it?
It is. I've always enjoyed it, but if I was playing all these years that I've played the first album all the way through, if you said to me, "Oh, we're going to skip Riot Van," like, and I wouldn't put up a massive fight, but kind of listening to it again, I've gained a new appreciation for it. I think in the wake of the newer stuff, I reckon.
Yeah, I think I used to. No, I would never skip it. I used to love it, but as time's gone on, I haven't ever really gone back to it that much. So yeah, this week has reopened my own love for it. It was never one I skipped because I will get to with the lyrics, stuff like that. I just absolutely, yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, I've always loved this one, and this has just reopened it, like intensely reopened it this week. It's always, when I first fell in love with this album, like at 15 or whatever, this was always one I'd particularly love, and I remember. So I rather embarrassingly tell you this, used to have a baseball bat in my room, and I'd strum along pretending I was in the band for a period of time. I mean, I was 15. But for this one, I'd flip the bat round and I'd use the opposite end. Not to put it on my ass. It's good. No, it's not going there. I used the opposite end as a crooning style microphone for this one, is what I used to do in the bedroom while I did it, because I didn't feel like the guitar was.
You were well ahead of the Arctic Monkeys curve.
I wasn't I? I knew what Alex wanted before he did. If you're listening now,
we were living in whatever people say. You were living in Tranquility Base.
Always. Yeah. When the teachers used to say, "You've got a wild imagination, what's going on in there?" Well, let me tell you.
Tacos on the moon.
Yeah, lounge singing Jesus next to me in the day spa. But yeah, I genuinely was always drawn to this one, which I've said before that I've always been slightly preordained to like the newer stuff, because I've always been into crooning music and old style music like that. So although I get people's problems with it, it just works for me because of that. But this one I was drawn to it for reasons lyrically, like I've said, beautiful. But we'll get into. But just the music is just, yeah, it's good. going back now and listening, it's really simplistic, but it's really beautiful as well. I'd say at the same time, it's a real precursor to a song like 505, I think. And particularly now knowing that James Ford was bloody on the organ or whatever, the electric keyboard, very much a precursor to that song, I'd say. And also a precursor, like you just said, to songs we're hearing now, like Mirrorball and things like that. This is the first hint of that we're seeing now. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, which is really interesting. But that is really interesting about James Ford, isn't it, that he was there? Because I didn't know that he was around at all at that point. Or I'd love to know. I'll try and do a bit of digging maybe. I wasn't going to talk about him until we get to the next era, obviously. But I'll be interested to find out how they met and when and what happened and how he got involved in this album. But because this was early days they recorded this, so it wasn't like they were at like celebrity parties or anything and they could bump into each other or something, you know what I mean? Or sort of indie parties or whatever. So yeah, it's interesting. Although he was in a band, wasn't he? So maybe that's just simply how maybe they did a gig together. That's probably it.
Or something.
Yeah, probably did a gig, didn't they? I can't remember. What was his band? Can you remember what they were called?
Simeon Mobile Disco.
Simeon Mobile Disco.
They did the Justice versus Simeon. You know, that We Are Your Friends. That was them. It was like huge.
Friends, you'll never be alone again.
Another clubbing classic.
Another clubbing classic. That and there's another song. The do 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 do. No, that's MGMT. Not MGMT. There's another song, and I can't remember. I'm not going to sit trying to think of it, but I always felt it was the song that would be on as we were walking into 42s, which is a club in Manchester, an indie club. Whenever there's always certain songs that seem to be playing as you walked into 42s, coming up the stairs and into there, and it get you all excited. And one of them was always Simeon Mobile Disco. That one, I think, would always hear. Or taking me back. Should we go 42 soon?
Now, I'm ready in 10 minutes, mate.
I actually heard the main. You might not go for this, but I heard the main piano opening riff of Body Paint in this when I was listening to it. I can't explain that, but it was the doon 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 and the do 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 do. Maybe just similar notes to it, but there was when I was listening, I could just hear that for some reason in my head. I can't quite put my finger on why that is, but I could just hear something similar in there. Could be nonsense. Could just be the Body Paint's in my head, but I could hear something.
It's not the only song that you've heard in there, is it?
Well, we'll get to that in a bit. No, I'm saving that for in a minute. I love the solo in this. Yeah,
lovely,
I really do think this is an early stage version of the other melodic romantic tunes that we'll hear as they progress. So, like we said, the solo to 505, which obviously they didn't do, Miles did, didn't he? But this was like the first solo that's melodic that they've ever done, I think, out of all of them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Especially having gone back across like Beneath the Boardwalk. Not Nevermind the Boardwalk, Beneath the Boardwalk. having gone back across it. This is the first instance of it, definitely.
And it's not flashy. It's not a flashy solo. Like 505's quite a good solo in it. No messing around, just a nice melodic solo to go with it. Yeah, beautiful.
It has that air once again of like the first song you'd write. You know, when you
the first slow song you would write, and then you need to do a slow solo, and this is the best because you're kind of using the bass and the notes and just doing it was the only kind of solo I could ever do was like just using the notes that we already knew because I didn't know how to write it where you would on the guitar. I wasn't didn't know it that well, but yeah, no, lovely solo. I do think we said about the crooning influence, but I do think he's on the cusp of crooning here in this. Do you know what I mean? Because he's talked recently about his crooning influences growing up with his dad and things like that, and I think if you take this riff and this song without Alex and play someone like Sinatra crooning, you wouldn't be perturbed by it. I don't think. I think it would fit, wouldn't it? It fits musically, but I just feel like when he's doing it, he's on the cusp of wanting to maybe croon, but he's not. He never would at this stage, obviously, because that would be crazy for him to do that, but probably in his own head, confidence-wise. But I actually don't think, to be honest, this isn't not a million miles away from Baby I'm Yours by the B52s to do that.
The one they did with the 747s. It's an
747s,
Barbara
B-52s.
Lewis, the original, yeah.
Yeah, B-52s.
Imagine Arctic Monkeys had collaborated with a B-52.
Just different planes, isn't it? 747s, B-52s. Become the plane spotting podcast. I think that the 747 is.
Don't want them planes colliding, do you? Oh,
Did
God.
you? Did you see the Emirates fly over today, Nick? Plane spotters anonymous. But it's obviously they covered that, and I think that you can hear a lot of that type of style of song in this one, as which we'll cover it. They covered it, and we'll cover it in podcast form. Not getting the band back together. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Let's find the 747s as well.
People in Manchester don't funny. Don't worry, it will be funny. It was really, really old style. And I'm going to give some dues to Jamie and Alex here because it's a really gorgeous couple of guitar pieces they're playing. Like for what it is, like we said, it's simple, but it is just really beautiful what they've written for such a simple song.
I think the way the guitars intertwine, it's almost an early sign of what we're going to get, particularly in Certain Romance on this album. I think it's kind of an early sign of that. I
think, definitely that. That romantic guitar that they have in that solo, at the sort of towards the end, is very much reminiscent of that. I'd say this is like a sort of early reminiscent of that. I'd be interested to know which was wrote first actually, but also dues to Andy because the bass for a song like this can fall flat or not really be heard, but he really makes it a part of the song. You can really hear the bass in this, and it really is part of it, isn't it? As we heard in that remix as well, the bass really was prominent in that as well.
A song of this, I suppose, gentle for want of a better word, especially in comparison to everything else on the album. Similar to Despair in the Departure Lounge, actually, which has no bass and no drums. But I couldn't listening back to this week. I couldn't imagine this without the bass. I think it's perfect. Just less is more.
Less is more, and it's hard to have bass stand out in a slower song. So it's always impressive when people do, and they did it with Mirrorball actually recently. Just the bass sort of just comes in at the end, but it's a really standing out moment for it, even though it's not been prominent the whole way through. But really nice, really good bass from Andy for this, because you think of him and the style of basses he has. We've mentioned before, like those kind of Stone Roses ones and stuff like that. But they slowed it down and did a really good job, I'd say. So well done, Andy.
Talking of less is more, Helders as well. But he still finds a nice bit of room for a few flourishes in there.
As he does now.
Yeah. There's always the flourish. We'll always have the flourishes, guys.
Yeah, technically. But you know what? It's funny because the drums that he does now on slower stuff, and he said are quite like technically difficult for him and like different stuff than what they're used to doing. And I think here you can hear that he wasn't at that level yet. He could do the fast stuff, but he doesn't. It's not like he throws too many flourishes in this or any technical stuff. He keeps it quite simple with just cymbal tapping, really, doesn't he? For most of it. So, I think we've seen an evolution of him performing slower beats as well and stuff like that. Even up to even initially 505 and stuff like that, he's got better, hasn't he, by then? So yes, interesting to see a little bit of progression from Helders there. But do you have anything to say on the music at all anymore?
I do not. We can move on to the
lyrics of the meeting birds, but it is a beautiful track. But I'll get to it now. But for some reason, this song has always reminded me of Easy by the Commodores. I can't explain why, although I've tried to by putting something together for you all.
Got a chase last night from men with truncheons dressed in hats. They didn't do that much wrong, still ran away though for the laugh.
28 seconds of that was not enough for me.
No, after it worked so well, I was like, I'd do it, but I didn't have the time to be edited it all and put it together. But maybe I will and put it out on socials because it did work. Do you know what I mean, though? There's something about the way that it doesn't fit perfectly, obviously, with the way he's singing, but there's just something there where it does hit.
Do you remember when there was that era of like indie mashups?
Yes.
So wasn't there another Arctic Monkeys one that I'm actually searching for now?
There was.
I found it. It is. I Predict That You Look Good in a Riot. So I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, it was Kaiser Chiefs.
Chiefs.
And, yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, let's not talk.
No
about
one needs
anyway,
that, do they?
Let's go back to this.
Please let.
The atmosphere turned rather sour. But yeah, yeah, no, I think it kind of works, and I think when I sent it to you, you realised it did kind of work, doesn't it? It kind of, there's something about it, like it doesn't
rent free in my head since then.
Yeah, I wish I had done it for a bit longer, but I just didn't. To be honest, the verses didn't fit that as well as the choruses did, and it's not a very long song, but it's also didn't know how long we could play the Commodore riff without getting like getting like Polyphone or something on us. Polyphone, bloody hell, it hasn't been a label since the 60s. Where did I pull that from? Polyphone. Yeah, it just seems to work. There's something about the way he's singing it, and I always thought the music always reminded me of that piano riff. And maybe there's a bit of that in there. Maybe Alex wrote the riff and he was listening to his dad listening to Easy by the Commodores. I don't know, and it's seeped in. There's just something there, but for me it works. Like obviously some of the lyrics don't fit, but I think there's points like particularly the end of the first line. It seems to fit really well with the music, stuff like that. So yeah, I think if Alex was to sing that song like he does now, it would fit perfectly against that that riff. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, just a little something that's been in my head for a very, very, very long time. Well, it wasn't because I forgot, but now it's like, yeah, I needed to get it out. Like
thanks for that.
Like COVID, spread it to everyone.
It's a super spreader podcast.
Can't just be me that has to have it in my head. But yeah, moving on to the lyrics. First things first, just wanted to, in case anyone doesn't know, a riot van is a police vehicle that can hold several people, allowing the cops to make multiple arrests during a public disturbance. In the United States, it is often called a paddy wagon. So, can't do this again. Up rolls the paddy wagon and sparks excitement in the fellas, but the sheriff looks mighty annoyed.
That's a never mind the sheriff. I'm mighty annoyed now. I'm just god. Oh, that's really upset. Oh,
it's always a treat for my American, isn't it? A treat for my American accents, isn't it?
It's like when them Hollyoaks actors like go over to try and break America.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. They don't get any roles, so they don't get to do the accent. It's a good accent. People from America get in touch and tell me what an excellent accent that is. I practiced that a couple of times. Unbelievably, I practiced that a couple of times today, and I turned around and my dog was just looking at me with a look that said, "You're such a dick. I can't believe my life's in your hands." But yeah, lyrically, this one again, just absolutely beautiful. Again, as somebody, so I grew up on a council estate area, but I was kind of on the outside of any of this behavior, really. But was privy to it. Just I wasn't really one of the kids, shouting at the police and stuff. But as I'm sure you're shocked to hear,
you were riot van adjacent, weren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
At the center of things.
No. But it's amazing how he perfectly manages to capture it. What it was like, and also though make it so, that word again, romantic. Like he really makes this what is quite a grim setting really romantic. And again, you referenced certain romance, he does that again in a certain romance, really, with like not just the music, but his lyrics really bring a sense of romance to the world where it shouldn't be, which he does it again, like I say, with certain romance. It's interesting symmetry, like you say, between that song and that and the music, but I think lyrically as well, because I do think a certain romance and this live in the same part of Alex's brain lyrically, like where it came from, because part of me feels like I should throw Mardy Bum in there too, but I think that's romantic and melodic and beautiful in a slightly different way to this and a certain romance, and if you'd agree with that. But yeah, it's really like the whole idea of a night out in the dark with friends, up to no good, and running away from the police and hiding, and someone getting battered with a truncheon. All this just has this romantic play out in my head with darkness and fires, and there's loads of stuff going on. A bit like, when you're at a festival that you really like on MDMA or something, and all you remember the next day is the lights and the fires and noise and happiness and people. That's what it reminds me of. This song gives me that kind of feeling. And
think of how the poor sods at the Triwizard tournament in Goblet of Fire must have felt coming down. And down the next morning, like, was the fire? Were the people being suspended upside down in midair? I don't know. Get a
Yeah, that's
bottle
all
of
right
water.
because it's all right because they had Jarvis Cocker and Johnny Greenwood performing at the Ball the next night, so lift you back up again, wouldn't it?
Oh no, I misspoke. I meant the Quidditch World Cup rather than the Shy Wizard tournament.
Oh yeah.
That's my fault.
Oh,
yeah.
the fires. Oh yeah, that would have been damp there. Yeah. But
that's just fallen flat now because I got the wrong. Oh god!
I feel like I knew what you meant though. I just thought you were referring to one of the games that they play in the task things, yeah. Or just after Cedric dies and he has to come back and tell his dad, yeah. Ooh, so anyway, we're bringing the podcast down now. You and your Harry Potter references. Cedric. Spoiler alert. Sorry, the book came out about nearly 30 years ago. So.
Spoiler alert, Cedric's a vampire.
He lived in a White House with White House? Bloody hell, we'd lost the plot tonight.
That's my boy.
With a guy from the Bisto adverts.
Reenacted the one good bit of acting from the Harry Potter films.
Yeah, they got a proper actor in to do it. Yeah. I always thought it was weird in that there's a bit that always stands out to me as makes no sense if you've read the books and that, or just made no sense in any format is when Harry doesn't. You might not, but when Harry's name comes out of the thing and he doesn't. It's not his fault it's come out. Someone's obviously put his name in it because it's not supposed to happen. And Dumbledore just storms in, grabs him by his t-shirt, pushes him up against the wall, and he's like, "What did you do, boy?" And I'm like, "Just a bit heavy." Bloody hell, call the
in the book as well. In the book, it's like, "Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?" asked Dumbledore calmly. And then in the film, he's like,
in the film, he's throwing him out the place, especially since, well, it's not a call the child services.
It's quite clear as well that Harry wasn't the source of. He'd been like 3 separate years in a row. Someone had tried to murder him, and now all of a sudden Dumbledore doesn't believe. He's like, "Oh, you bullshitter!"
I always felt that scene was so misjudged. It makes no sense whatsoever for him to be angry about something he clearly didn't do. Like he knows Harry. He wouldn't be putting his name in there, would he? Like also breaking like he owns a dark magic that he's not capable of doing.
Yeah, this song, as is the case with many on this album, is packed full of some good old Northern English slang terms.
Yeah.
We've got coppers, we've got policemen. But it's nice to delineate, which I think we will do with this clip, which I think we will do with this clip from Alex Horn and the Horn section.
Is it the police? Is it the fuzz? Is it the fence? Is it the rotters? Is it the cops? Is it the bill? Is it the 5-0? Is it the pigs? Is it the filth? Is it the narcs? Is it some bobbies? Is it Bergerac? No! It's a highway maintenance vehicle!
So there goes some nice little some little English terms for the law enforcement there, the various agencies. It's good to have it cleared up in it for our Trans-Atlantic listeners.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. I mean, I would do, like I say, I would like to hear from someone whether they research it or people that love this album or whether they just kind of just accept they don't know what they're talking about but still enjoy it.
Yeah, like I do when I listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, no.
With their songs about like the use of alcohol in the California region to the use of drugs in the California region, just wide range of topics there from the Chili Boys.
Yeah. I mean, you could, if it wasn't for Tranquility Base, they could throw back in your face that in the car that Arctic's only song about shagging in the desert. So, or shagging in a town in England, shagging once you're famous, shagging in the desert, shagging in downtown LA.
But Arctics are good though. that's the crucial distinction.
True. That is true. Yeah, that is a very important distinction. What always got me as the most romantic part of this. And this could just be my imagination because I have always deep down been a hopeless romantic, even if I try and hide it. Hence why Suck It and See is my favorite album. The most romantic bit of the song is, for me, and people, please just stop talking because they won't find us if you do. oh, those silly bodies in blue. Well, they won't catch me and you. I've always pictured that as just him and a lover hiding, like his girlfriend that was there or someone he likes, and they're hiding from the police, and it's quite a romantic scene. Especially
That's when you're going to get hard on as well, isn't it? You're going to get one at that point hiding in an alleyway at that age. Oh, yeah. It's alone time, isn't it?
I was just setting a very romantic scene, and you had to come in and ruin it with your hard on, as you always do.
Only romance when you've got hard-ons and mindless rutting and jumping in front of women at a nightclub to Rage Against the Machine.
All right, we'll get to AM. All right, we'll get there eventually, and then you can talk about that.
Oh, I'm horny.
But right now, he's like this all the time, listeners. But no, I just always pictured it like, and the way the music comes in at that moment as well. I just always pictured that way as it's him and a girl, and that's potentially nonsense. Maybe you haven't read it that way. Maybe you've always just seen it as him speaking to the other lads that are there, or whatever. But to me, that's what I felt and saw when I was 15, and that's what I still feel and see now.
Yeah, I've never thought about it that way, but now I've seen it that way. I won't be looking back. It's a thumbs up from me.
When we get to the demo, I think that point is backed up as well by a difference in the lyrics for that bit.
Yes.
But I think, I just always found that as quite a romantic, little beautiful moment of him and a girl hiding from the police, and But who knows? Maybe he was just meant to be shouting that at a lad. I don't know. And if he was, maybe that's what he likes. Good luck to him. Also, he says things in a way that add to the beauty for like some unexplained reason. So again, like the above quote, that please just stop talking because I don't find as if you do. You would say it that way. You wouldn't say it that way in speech. Please stop talking because they won't find as if you do. Oh, they're so bad. Well, they won't catch me and you. But the changing of the word order of the sentence just enhances it so much, and he does that a few times in this. But just makes it like, because obviously that isn't what you'd say, but the way you've ordered it for the song, it just makes it so much like better and more romantic, as I say. I told you I'd use that word a lot tonight. Did you have any thoughts on any of the lyrics on this? I'm not going to say my favourite lyric. I'll save it for save that.
But these lads just wind the coppers up. They ask why they don't catch proper crooks. They get their address and their names took. Which reminds me of a time, going back to the old days again here. Me and my mates, we've been playing five-a-side football, and we're walking home like past Stockport Pyramid up there, up near Morrison's where we used to, where we met.
I've always avoided saying it, giving it any airtime and any advertising space on the podcast.
I'll bleep it out.
You were playing at the you were playing at the thingy, I assume. Then if you were
the Power League,
Power League, yeah.
So we've been playing Power League, and we're walking back, and then a police van came roaring past with its sirens on the way to some emergency, no doubt. The McDonald's was going cold, guys. They had to get a move on. And my friend Ben, as he drove past, just kind of went with his fingers. He like finger guns at this police van with the sirens on, and it just screeched to a halt. And like 6 of them got out. They're like, "What are you fucking playing at?" It's like, just waving at you. He's like, "Are you fucking retarded or something?" I was like, "Well, that's a point of contention. That's not answer that one." And he said, as they're getting back into the van, he said, "Oh, don't you know we've got like actual crimes to solve?" And my mate Ben you just leave it, wouldn't you? We've had a bit of a thing here. And my mate Ben said, "Well, why don't you go and fucking do it then?" And he got his name and address took, and he did care less. He cared a lot.
I'd like to say that's the most, him just doing finger guns is like one of the most embarrassing ways to attract the police's attention. But I once, when I was 16, I was at a small football thing at Cheadletown, and there was a little party there in the little shack that's there for after it. It was like a charity game or something, and I was drunk, obviously only 16, and I was having a beer outside speaking to someone, and Build Me Up Buttercup came on inside. So I was like, oh my God, I've got to go in for this. So I downed the bottle. I downed the bottle of beer. You might have been. I downed the bottle of beer, threw the bottle. As it flew across the air, I turned around and 2 police officers, 1 female, walked around the corner, and the bottle hit her on the arm. And I thought, oh my God, I panicked, ran inside the building, and just because there was about 80, not 80, but like 50 people in there, and I thought, well, they probably didn't see me properly in the dark, so maybe I can get away with this. But what I had failed to realize was that at the time that in fashion was these sort of top man jackets that were like white with essentially the look of like someone just like spattering paint on a jacket, if you remember them. And I was wearing that, and it was very bright, and they'd obviously known who I was, so they came in and just grabbed me and told me to go outside. And I told them I was very sorry. They were doing like it was an accident. I was like,
Through tears.
just played Build Me Up Buttercup, and I just threw the bottle. I wasn't throwing it at you, because from their point of view, I'd just thrown a bottle at them, like the police. And then I gave my mate's name as my name, which is his name's Danny as well. So I just changed the last name. But then I didn't, but then I gave my address. So when they checked it on the system, obviously that was a red flag because I'm an idiot. So then I went,
I've not seen him for a while. I think he went to prison.
Yeah, they were like, well, you're not at that address, so we know that's not you. And I was like, oh, I wasn't sorry, I've recently changed my name. And then I had to give my real details.
I've recently moved house. I've recently changed my name.
Well, and they let me go over warning in the end, but that was humiliating to say the least. Because I think
imagine they had arrested you though. Imagine like the arrest report, like reason for throwing the bottle, Build Me Up Buttercup. Back in tune, to be fair.
Yeah, I was thinking I was just about to get off with this girl as well at that point as well, so it was all very tragic. But
Picturing Caravan Club in the In-Betweeners.
Yeah, it was an in-betweeners type situation, really. Me just like tail between my legs, like trying to deal with the situation without ending up in the back of the police car. Because I mean, to be fair on them, it was good to let them off. Because from their point of view, I think I was so pathetic that they knew that I wasn't the type of person that would throw a bottle at the police in like anger or something. They knew I must have just been a crazy coincidence, which it was. But how unlucky is that? You just throw a glass bottle and a police officer happens to be walking around the corner at the time and it hits her on the arm.
What are the chances?
I do remember me and you on a night out once ringing 999 and singing. Do you remember this? On our way home from clubbing, it's always stayed with me. We were in a phone booth. Remember them? And we dialed 999. This is quite bad actually. We dialed 999 and we sang "Time for Heroes" down the phone to them, and then hung up and ran off. Yeah, we were like, did you see the style that she left in the riot? Pissed down the phone to some poor 999 operator and then hung up and ran off. Yeah, as an adult now, it's shameful, isn't it? But we thought it was amazing and hilarious. You cut this out if you want out of shame, but yeah.
We didn't have the Conservative government in by then. So maybe the police were overstaffed at that point. Maybe they just wanted something to do for 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's actually police. Luckily, we're lucky that they didn't just because that is illegal, so that they didn't come to the phone box and find us somewhere. But yeah, I think we liked it.
Find us 3 feet away laughing.
Yeah, that was amazing. Awful people we were.
What a thrill!
But yeah, I say this a lot, as we do this, but if you take these lyrics and read it as a poem on a poetry night, I think as much as the music adds to its beauty, a lot of it comes from the lyrics. I think it would still sound beautiful without the music, like poetry. In fact, you know what? I say this every week and I never do it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to read it in a poet style from a poetry. It's not a long one, is it?
Poet? Which poet are we going for?
I'm not going John Cooper Clarke because I'm not northern enough. I don't think. I'm going to go quite. Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes out. Let's find out. Uncharted territory. I've never done it. Okay, so it would be. So, up rolls a riot van and sparks excitement in the boys. But the policemen look annoyed. Perhaps these are ones they should avoid. Got a chase last night from men with truncheons dressed in hats. We didn't do that much wrong. Still ran away though, for the laugh. Just for the laugh. And please just stop talking, because they won't find us if you do. Oh, those silly boys in blue. Well, they won't catch me and you. Have you been drinking, son? You don't look old enough to me. I'm sorry, officer. Is there a certain age you're supposed to be? Because nobody told me. And up rolls a riot van, and these lads just wind the coppers up. They ask why they don't catch proper crooks. They get their address, and their names took. But they couldn't care less. Thrown in the riot van, and all the coppers kicked him in. and there was no way he could win. Just had to take it on the chin.
It sounds
Feel
like one
about
of them god awful bank adverts.
Well, it was quite emotional. I was tearing up at one point.
Yeah, you've proved your point. That
It would work though, wouldn't it? Do you think that would work? It would work, wouldn't it?
That'd fit perfectly. Yeah. But it's a John Cooper Clarke thing again, because a lot of his stuff was kind of set to music after he'd done it as a poem, and vice versa, and stuff like that. Yeah,
as Arctic Monkeys, as we know, for future
episodes.
But it does. I think I always felt that about Alex, particularly in these early ones, maybe some later on. But this first album is very, because of the John Cooper Clarke really being ingrained in this one. I'd say lyrically, maybe more so than others. But I think it's always still there, obviously. But other influences take hold later and stuff like that. But this album, I think, is really influenced by him. So that's why you can get away with just reading it like that as a poem. But especially with this one. I think this one fits it probably the best of all of them, because it's a slow song, because it's supposed to be a bit melancholy, like some poems are. Do you think, I imagine, even with the Britishisms though, because you went through the slang, I imagine even with the Britishisms, this song is still completely relatable and understandable across cultures though, right? Wouldn't you say? Because it's not, this one in particular, there isn't too much slang that you wouldn't understand there, is there? Because the concept is still in other countries. Wouldn't it be?
Yeah, it's not like it's like barm cake, Ginnell barm cake for the whole song.
No, exactly. Like some of us do have references and stuff, but as we know,
don't need any more of them.
Don't need any more. Please, God, no more, Alex. Jesus. Although the police in other countries are slightly more threatening, carrying pistols rather than truncheons. So try and be a cheeky chappy with those guys, Alex, and see where that gets you.
Yeah.
You snarky comments, you little shit. But no, I just think it's beautiful inside and out. But I do think I've got a lot to say on the Beneath the Boardwalk version of this. So as a special treat, we're going to do something we don't normally do, aren't we? Here.
Yeah. We're gonna just play a full track because it's copyright free. So we're gonna
not just. Yeah, not just, well, obviously that helps, but also because we're listening to it, because we always both listen to the other demo version, and was always like, as you'll know, we comment on a little change and go, oh, it's a bit different. But this one was so different, probably mostly lyrically rather than musically. There's a couple of things in there that we just kind of had to, there's a lot to say, let's say, so we thought we may as well play it all for you. So settle in, and I'd love it if there's some people that haven't heard this that are about to hear it. That'd be fantastic. That'd
be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
it'd feel like the first time like Radio 1 played Dance Floor or something, wouldn't it? It's like,
that'd be great, wouldn't it? But enjoy.
Thrown in Riot van, the coppers kicked him in, and there was no way he could win. Just had to take it on the chin. Smoked a bomb last night and stole somebody's telephone. It thinks it's all alright, but they've left him on his own, on his own.
lovely. I think musically the same, but also very different. I think there's just like maybe some more reverb on it or something, on the instruments.
It feels a bit heavier, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. But I think you can hear the mechanisms of the instruments more because it's not been mixed to the other one's been mixed so that you don't really hear the other stuff going on. Like what the guitar's doing, the second guitar. Actually, the second guitar has a really beautiful sound to it that you don't get in the official version, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's even more, yes, that word again, romantic sounding than the album version. I'd argue this one. I think so. I think it's got more of an atmosphere to it. You can go like that. Sorry, Jimbo, but I'm giving this one 1-0 to Smythe on this one. But the solo is very different. Better, you think?
I think better in different ways. I think it's a bit heavy. I don't, as much as I like this version, I don't think that this version would fit on the album as well as the album version did. That's
no,
what I'm going to controversially say.
You're probably right there. Because I'd say maybe the solo is not better, but it's not worse. I'd say just different. But yeah, you're right. The song's different in a way that wouldn't necessarily make it fit on this album at all, which is probably why it's been mixed differently and changed. But so the end lyrics of the album version are the opening version of the demo version, which I always found interesting. And I always wanted to hear them together as one song, like an extended cut as a B-side or live or some. But some bloody buggers actually gone and done it, haven't they? So we play a little bit of that.
And there was no way he could win. Just had to take it on the chin. Smoked a bomb last night and stole somebody's telephone. He thinks it's all alright, but they've left him on his own.
Smoked a bong last night and stole somebody's telephone. He thinks it's all right, but they've left him on his own. Really reminds me of that going back, we mentioned Certain Romance earlier, but it really reminds me of that. There's boys in bands and lads who fight with pool cues in their hand. Line in Certain Romance, again, lives in the same part of Alex's brain. Those two lines, I'd say, the similar vibe to them. But as I did say this adds to my romantic theory of a lover being there with his baby stop calling over and over. Yeah. Funny cigarettes is such a great way of saying spliff, isn't it? Yeah.
That's another Only Fools and Horses reference as well. That's what Del Boy calls him on occasion in Only Fools and Horses.
Oh, is it?
So, yeah, going back to the British comedy roots again.
Oh, I have to admit, and we shouldn't be admitting this to you, but I'm not I'm not a big fan. I'm not gonna lie.
It's one of my favorites. He also described.
I know it's one of your favorites. I remember.
Funny fags, funny cigarettes, Jamaican woodbines, Moroccan cigarettes. Yeah, so Alex has got a bit of catching up to do.
Well, so it could be a reference there. But I remember when I was 15, that was just an amazing line to hear.
Yeah.
Where's this saying it?
I know what it is.
And perhaps that's something to do with this. These lyrics being upgraded, like we said for the lyrics last week for Still Take You Home, and how they got slightly better when he changed them in the album, more mature. And I think again, Funny Cigarettes is another line, or Smoked a Bong Last Night. It's kind of what you just expect a teenager to write. Yeah, for that
teenager,
yeah, exactly, yeah. And then he's thought, now this isn't good enough, and got to, which again, commendable talent. But yeah, as a teenager, I thought that was hilarious. Ooh, what a great way to sing. I never really. It's not my kind of thing on the Falls. Unfortunately, I've tried. It was on growing up, and I think it's one of those things where when you resent something because you're having to watch it as a kid, but you're not enjoying it, so then you just don't ever get over that type of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. I know I'm not denying it's pantheon in British comic history, but it's just not my cup of tea as much as I'd like to me, that kind of humour. Pinched a car with one headlight and lost control. The passengers were screaming. Is this bit of that line the darkest line that Alex has ever written in content? Especially paired with the fire brigade, but it was already too late and there were no arrests to make. Jesus. Like it's like Manchester by the Sea as a rhyming couplet. It's fucking horrific. I was like, he's never sang about anything dark like that, has he? Death, and I don't think so. Anyway, I can't think of any. But no, I can't think of any other dark. That's really dark. That's about I assume that's about on this night of people stealing mobile phones and doing bongs. It's about a joyride. Council estates, people, joyride all the time, from what I remember. Not in a sexy joyride way that the Killers tried to do on the third album, but like Coca Cabana of joyriding. But
McDonald's and go to a multi-story car park for 3 hours, isn't it?
You know what? That album lives in my head as it was out when I was doing nights at Morrison's, and you were doing nights at Morrison's as well. And I was doing the beer stuff on the aisles, and I was constantly always listening to that album with Human on it and everything. And now whenever I listen to it, because one of my favorite Killer songs is on that album, but the fact I was doing that at the time has really killed that album like a lot for me, because it reminds me of it. Yeah, Dustland Fairy Tale is one of my favorites as well. So it's a shame.
Oh yeah, great tune.
Yeah, but anyway, it's not the Killers podcast, but you never know, maybe one day. But yeah, no. Anyway, yeah, I just, it's not the kind of reference that I ever hear Alex make in any even like newer stuff and that, any kind of darkness like that. But because he says as well, well, actually, no, this scene does add more fuel to the fire of this being partly about a romance. My theory made him shut his eyes, rate tight, and think of you, and hope that he was dreaming. That's a very romantic line. Someone who's about to die in a car crash, closing their eyes and thinking of the person they love as they make impact. Very romantic, that. It's beautiful.
Little flash forward to the My Mistakes Were Made For You Shadow Puppets video.
Well, yeah. Actually, I say Last Shadow Puppets, that album would probably be the closest to the darker, maybe some of the lyrical content that this song has. Yeah, maybe. I think maybe it wouldn't really fit with a lot of Monkeys music, would it, at that point, to do like kind of stuff like this?
No.
Like you say, it wouldn't fit you said it before, it wouldn't. That's the Beneath the Boardwalk wouldn't fit on the album. This lyrical content certainly wouldn't fit on the album, would it? Just listen to Still Take You Home and then this. It would feel a bit childish. You know what it would do as well? Do you remember when Neil said that he thought it was like Job Centre, Chavy drinking cider in a park? Like this one would have really added to his thoughts there, wouldn't it?
Neil would hate
bong,
this.
like he would like, singing about smoking bongs and joyriding and stealing someone's phone. Fuck you, snail.
Art school.
Art school fashionistas. Fuck you. Anyway, I'm not bitter still. He, you know what does make me laugh in this? He does his little he does a couple of times. He goes after the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, for me, that reeks of a lack of self-confidence in his own voice and performance. I felt so as it ends and it goes into a solo, he's too scared to just let it sit, just let the music sit. So he has to go like, that over it. You know what I mean?
To think we've gone from that to at the start of 4 out of 5.
Yeah, now that you can do stuff like that, it's amazing, isn't it? What a transgression. I've got a newfound love for Tranquility Base since the car came out. No, I'm not saying that in a mean. I'm not saying in a mean way that because I don't like the car, Tranquility Base is better, and I appreciate it now. I've always loved it, but I love both. But I've just hearing it, it's changed my perspective even more on it. It's changed my 1 point perspective even more on it. No, you gotta go for 4. You gotta go for 4 at least. I know that was weak, and that was last week's reference as well. Was a 1 point perspective. I just used the same one because we weren't getting one, so. Got to wear it at least once, haven't you? That's it. Can I just say, we said about the lyrics, but I think in a way, I don't want to say this, but in a way I prefer this version. But in a way I don't. I'm very undecided.
Yeah, I'm right on the fence. It's tough.
It is really tough because I do really like it, which is why the combined version was something I sought out, because I can go, well, I can just listen to a combined version. That'd be good. That would be my preferred one. But I do understand this wouldn't work on the album. I 100% agree and understand that, and I know why they changed it. Definitely, I think this would take its status away from being one of the album of a generation if this lyrically was on there. It might have been a little sour note, but I think the lyrics are still, all right. I'm not saying they're terrible; they're still good for someone of his age and new to the biz. But I just can't decide whether I prefer it. And at the time when I listen to it and I prefer it, and then listen to the original, and it's different. But before I do get to my favorite lyric, I have decided, and I mainly mean the album version, but there are elements of Beneath the Boardwalk too. But I think this is the best lyrics we've encountered from Alex so far on this album.
I think so.
Which is fucking insane because we've already had so many, and it's an outrageous statement to make. But I think there's a beautiful maturity to these that we haven't seen yet, but we will certainly see again. But yeah,
You can hold on to that until we get to a certain romance. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's why I said, but we will certainly see it again. But I'm not denying that. But I didn't mean that. You don't want to talk. But I've handbags. Yeah, I just don't think we've seen this kind of writing from him yet on this album, because maybe the content is a bit melancholic and a bit, maybe it's almost like he's a bit nostalgic for his, it's like, when we talked about on Beneath the Boardwalk, some of the lyrics being like knock it or run, reminding you of being a kid, and this song is like that. And because he would have been like 19 or whatever at this time, obviously he wouldn't have been doing this kind of thing then. So I think he's reminiscing a bit about where he's from and growing up when he was like 15 and stuff like that. And I think that's why it's got that feel to it. But yeah, I just think it's the best lyrics he's written so far on this album. Not individual lyric, obviously, we've had some great ones, Fate Tales, for example, but I think it's just as a set, it's just a really beautiful maturity to it. Yeah, that's what I'm sticking to.
And this is one that people kind of think doesn't fit into the album, but if you picture the events of this song happening just over from where the sex worker in When the Sun Goes Down is doing her business, you can just imagine this happening a few streets over, can't you?
Near the practice rooms. I 100% agree with that, and Certain Romance as well, being set on the same state, obviously. But yeah, no, I don't understand it not fitting in on this album. I think it's a nice little. People just really don't like it when they do slow songs, do they? As we've learned over time. Like it's apart from 505.
Yeah, I've hated Arctic Monkeys ever since they went slow. What, track 7 on the first album?
Exactly. It's a great, it's a really good song, and it fits because it's in a good place where it is as well. Because the album kind of goes really, like those last 3 were really insanely in your face, weren't they? And there's a nice little break, and then they do that on every album, I'd say. But it then it sort of builds back up after this one as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's very much the calm before the storm, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I think this fits in perfectly with the theme of the album as well, lyrically, just because it's not about being on the piss, but it's still about that world, certainly a young person's world. I will never understand that. I think it fits perfectly. But should we get to our favorite lyrics? Unless you have something else to say on the Beneath the Boardwalk.
Yeah, favorite lyrics sounds like it's the place to go.
Too busy with the mind on clever lines.
So you've already, I think, did you already say this one before? But have you been drinking?
No, I didn't.
You didn't.
Yeah, no. Yes. Sorry, that's
the one. So,
well, yeah.
So I didn't want to say it then. I thought I'll just say it again. Have you been drinking, son? You don't look old enough to me. I'm sorry, officer. Is there a certain age you're supposed to be? Because nobody told me. So it's so
the
snark is back, witty, cheeky. So in keeping with the rest of the album, as we say, the snark's back. Exactly what you'd expect to hear in real life, in my experience of being in that kind of. Apart from not me, because as we say, I had my tail between my legs and begged for mercy. But other people I was around would absolutely have said something like that. And I remember the emotion I felt hearing this song as a 15-year-old. And it was amazing to be both emotional from the beauty of the song, but also laughing at this line. And then also being in awe of the lyrical ability in that. So it was kind of like a free-fall. I really find this song really beautiful, but also really funny. And also I'm just impressed by that someone could write this. It sounds like sorry, a bit of gas. I'm not. It sounds like I'm welling up talking about it, but, which I could do. People say the lyricist generation stuff. The stuff on this album, you do just think he just captures so much in this, doesn't he? And it's this is one of them. Yeah, just blew me away that rhyming couplet when I first heard it.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite lyrics on the album, I think, as well. That's up there.
That's what I mean by it song. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's such a kind of. It's so funny. Really, it's a genuinely funny line to imagine someone saying that to the copper and the retort and stuff. But also in the middle of this other type of song, yeah. Which is again why I don't think that isn't the demo, is it? That one, that bit, is it?
No, that's the recorded version. That line, yeah, that line's
no. It's not. That's what I mean. Sorry, it's not on the demo. Because again, that wouldn't fit. You couldn't have this amazing little bit and then have a lot of people dying in a car crash, would it? It wouldn't really vibe, would it? So yeah, so again, the maturity though, like we said, we still take you home to change that up in such a short space of time. He only wrote the first set of lyrics probably in like 2004, 5 maybe, and then end of 2005 when they're recording the album. He's changing it up and making it so much better. He just advanced so quickly. It's incredible, really.
Yeah, so I this meteoric rise and just carried on, because a lot of people get caught up in that, and their art would suffer for it, but not our boys.
Nope. Well, like that's why we like whatever people say, and that's what I'm not. They always knew. Don't believe the hype. They always knew. They always were
Someone should do
grounded.
a podcast called that. Should we get on to the?
Well, have you got a favorite lyric?
Mine is the same as yours.
Oh, really?
That's what I was going to pick. Yeah, I love that. And then
Same
probably
reasons,
my favorite. Yeah, same reasons, and it's probably one of my favorite lyrics on the album, actually.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Full stop. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, happy to go on to the favorite musical moment.
I've got. We might have the same one here, or we may not. We'll see.
Mad sounds in your ears. They make you get up and dance. They make you get up.
Oh, mine's a bit of a mixed up one, because I'd say the solo, but then having listened to the guitar solo again on the Beneath the Boardwalk demo, I prefer that.
Yeah. You're making that judgment that you prefer the other one.
Now.
You're making
I prefer
that call.
the solo on the demo. Yeah, but
I like that you can hear the other instruments in the solo and the demo more.
Yeah.
You can hear a lot more of what's going on.
Sets it apart.
There's actually a really nice bit of background guitar on that solo. Yeah, that you can hear. It's really good. But mine is just the main riff. I still think it's one of the most beautiful riffs they've ever written. I'm putting that out there. I think it's maybe one of my favorites. This riff that they've ever done. I'm gonna put that out there. I just love it. It
was almost became the blueprint as well for so many indie bands to do, like, that's just, whether they'd speed it up or slow it down. But those chords just became a blueprint for every landfill indie band that you've never heard of.
If anyone's ever played them as well, because I learned them, it's very simple, and it's kind of bar chords that just move up the guitar. But it's really simple to play, but God, yeah, beautiful. Like most classic songs are. But I have really fell in love with this song, as I'm sure you've all heard.
Yeah, same.
But I do have I have maybe 2 hot takes, actually, thinking about it for this one.
She makes a red hot revelation off the tip of her tongue.
The line, this is my first hot take. Please just stop talking, because they won't find us if you do, with those silly boys in blue. They won't catch me and you, as I've already referenced as a romantic, my fairy romance. I think it's the first line we heard from Alex that could be about someone he loves rather than someone he wants to sleep with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Oh,
that's a nice heartwarming. It's a nice heartwarming hot take. Yeah, and I don't even think. I think it must be because there's no more until. Favorite words? No, there is what I'm talking about. Obviously, there is. But up to this point, this is the first line we hear where he's talking about someone he loves rather than someone that wants to rut with. Definitely. And as we know, he'll mix it up between the two as time goes on.
Yes.
But,
it's a great success.
It's a great success, even in the same song. He'll do both. But that's just a nice. It's not an outlandish take. I just noticed that this is the first time we ever heard him talk about love, which I thought was, considering where we go with this band, I think that's a nice little marker to set down. Yeah. But my second take would be, this is wishful thinking, perhaps, but when they were talking about going through the back catalogue in a recent interview and having songs that they could pull up live, and we kind of had a little chat, didn't we, that Certain Romance could be perhaps making a comeback because it fits with this style. And I think there was a rumour that they were rehearsing it or something at some gig or something.
It's been sound checked earlier this summer.
Sound checked, yeah. But
was If You Were There, Beware, interestingly.
But it's not so much a hot take as my thing, and you're not going to agree with it. It's the first time I'm not agreeing. I know you're not going to agree, which is fair enough because it's all personal preference. But if I could pick one song for them to redo live now, it would be this. And I'll tell you why, because I think if they added like some orchestral strings like they do they do it on the keys live, don't they? The two guys, the other dudes, and a couple of guitar pieces, and a little flourish more guitar on Helders, and they did this, I would probably start crying in the audience at the cricket club. And
I would as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we want them to bring back Certain Romance, stuff like that. That's fine. But I think because I've never heard this live, this is one of the few Arctic Monkey songs that I've never heard, unless they unless I'm just misremembering whether they did play it at one of the ones back then. But I don't think. No, I don't think I did. Unless if they did, it was one of the very first gigs that I ever went to see them. But yeah, I would absolutely pick this one as one because I've heard most of the rest. So this would be one that I'd want to hear again, and I'd want them to do it. And the way that if Alex was singing this and the way he sings now, like with this music, like I just think it would be fucking incredible live. It'd be such a moment. What a market, and such a song no one would be expecting. But if I was them, and I would
separate the original fans, wouldn't it?
Exactly. If I was going to go back and from their point of view and go, okay, which songs fit with the newest stuff from like they said they have from the first album, you get to Riot Van and you go, well, we've never done this one, and they go, this probably is the one that fits in with the car the most out of maybe all of the songs that we've done from the first two albums, apart from one other. I think it's not going to happen, but that would be my dream. That's my other hot take. So two quite nice hot takes, two little nostalgic nice hot takes, I'd say.
Wholesome hot takes there.
Very wholesome hot takes, yeah. Holt some hot takes. Thank you. No, they're my two. Not really anything to disagree with, just would be nice. I don't think you'd be opposed. Although I did say that to you not long ago, and you said, I don't think you said you wouldn't enjoy it. I think because if it was in place of Certain Romance or something, which is fair enough. Because we all want to hear that as well.
If there's like some hypothetical discussion where it was either that or Certain Romance and they picked that, I wouldn't be happy.
No, I would.
Any other time hearing that, I'd be delighted. As I have been this week. I genuinely of all the tracks so far that we've gone back and listened to for like a whole week ahead of recording the show, this has been the one that's kind of surprised me the most with how much I really. It's never that I didn't like it at any point. It's just I really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to.
It's
really in my head now.
I'd say it's the first one that I've had an emotional reaction to, in terms of not just like takes me back to a time or what a cool song or this is really good or it's the first one where I've had a nice feeling towards it, a nice little emotional song that's taken me back a bit. First one, beautiful song.
I'll be having that feeling in a couple of weeks' time. I think I'll be yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In the kitchen and all sorts.
Thought you were about to make a sex joke or something. Then I didn't know where it was going.
No. Chance to be a fine thing.
Chance to be a fine thing indeed. Probably saying that too much now. But absolutely banging track. Can't say it's beautiful and romantic any more than we already have. So it's not a banging track actually. It's a beautiful track. It's not a banging track, but it is a great song from the pantheon of Arctic Monkeys. Yeah, yes, and I hope people that may have not heard it as much listen to this and fall in love with it.
Yeah,
maybe.
If just one person like falls in love with it because we've chatted rubbish about it for an hour with lots of breaks for going off on tangents, then our job's done. We
can die happy.
Well,
monetarily.
And now you've reached the heart of the matter there. Yeah, that's it.
Well, that was Alex. That sounded a bit Alex S then.
It did.
Now we reached the. Except he'd say like the crescendo of the matter rather than the heart of the matter, wouldn't he? He'd twist it a bit. He'd say we reached the crescendo of the matter, and that thing pumping. I don't know. I'm going a bit of 70s soul then. But yes, I think we've talked about our love for the song too much. I think I'd say this actually is another little hot take in podcast hot take. This has been the most analytical we've got so far in the track, so it's certainly detailed in. I noticed my notes were way longer than usual. It was the first where there was a lot more to talk about in terms of depth. Yeah,
and having two versions would have helped as well.
Good point. but yeah,
we won't have to. Which we could technically do with Bigger Boys and Stolen Sweethearts because I think there's some.
I think we will do that. Oh, very much. So. Don't get me.
We'll be on.
I will. I don't because I can't wait because there's some of the lyrics on. Well, I think it's the demo that I think are fucking hilarious and spectacular.
Yeah.
But and very true. But yeah, that'll be coming up in. Oh no, we said 6 weeks to the wrap up. It's even longer than that because I forgot about the B-sides. It's more like 10 weeks a day.
Fine by me.
Yeah, coming in April. The wrap up.
Yeah. Oh, it's never going to end, is it? I kind of want them to split up now. Just so we've got an indefinite end date. No.
Wash your mouth out with soap. You shouldn't have said that. You should be.
That's probably the worst thing I've said in the show today. That
you're fired. Well. The listeners haven't heard the unedited version, have they? But that's the no, you can't say that. I don't want this podcast to end. I want to keep. I hope they just keep doing songs.
I took it back
keep
straight
doing
away.
it.
I was being frivolous, and I should know not to do that on a comedy/music podcast.
You've upset me.
The last place you want people being frivolous.
There's a time for frivolity, and it wasn't then.
When is it then?
It was at the start when I was doing American accents and everything was light. Not now.
It's too heavy now. Well, that has been just about the end of our deep dive into track 7, Riot Van.
Yeah,
we will be back. Do not forget, you can follow all our social media, go into the episode description and click on our link tree, and all the descriptions are there and all the links to all the other stuff. And I'll put the TikTok in, because what sort of a podcast host would it be if it didn't? Appalling, isn't it? What are we covering next week, mate?
I was just thinking how funny with that American paddy wagon sketch earlier. Oh no, I think you would have missed it. I think it was when you went to the bank. Nick, it's time to end the podcast and go home, so you better get out your phone and order an Uber. Well, you can't, because it's bloody 2006 and you have to go to a taxi rank, pay an extortionate amount for a relatively short journey, whilst listening to a bald middle-aged white man tell you who he'd select for the England team, how he'd run the country, and that you better not be thinking of jumping because the red light indicates doors are secured.
This one yet, that. Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I'm absolutely spot on that. I'm
honing him. I'm honing it. I'm getting it right. Getting it there. We didn't start doing it until like 3 in, so it's only the 4th attempt. We'll get there.
Yeah. Oh, cracking stuff. Absolutely brilliant. Well, we will be back next week, same time. Well, about midnight. Midnight Tuesday night. Over our time it drops. So it's like some of the Americans get it like
Tuesday evening.
Oh no, they're behind. They're behind.
Yeah. So some of the Tuesday.
400 years behind, some might say.
Oh, political, kinky. The American listeners are in Eastern in New York. Let's say that it'll be 7 p.m. when we drop it, usually, probably, and the LA listeners would get it at like 3 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. So yeah, it's all.
So there's worse ways to spend an afternoon in LA, isn't there? I mean, there's better ways, but there's worse.
Well, there's better ways, CAM. There's worse ways to see Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah. Almost worse than anything in the world. Right, we will be back same time next week, same place. Dan, say goodbye to the nice people and the horrible ones. There's bound to be horrible ones, 1 in 5, I heard, a bit high.
Goodbye, now you nice and horrible people.
Bye.
Don't Believe the Hype is hosted and produced weekly by Nick Lee and Dan Holt. The music used in the titles is royalty-free music courtesy of Les FM. Don't forget to subscribe on your podcast player of choice to be notified every Wednesday when a new episode is released. And if you want to help us out further, be sure to like and review to help make us more visible to like-minded souls. We will see you next week with more of the same.